We made a huge mistake with our RV batteries this year. So in this video, we're going to kind of have a little bit of a confession time and tell you about it. So stay tuned.
We are Charity, Ben, Dakota, and Trinity. We decided we didn't want to wait for a life of adventure. So in 2017, we bought our first RV and set off to live a life of travel in the USA. We've visited over 38 states in 3 years and have many more to go. Follow along to learn all the best places to see, RV and travel tips, and much more.
So we've got a story to tell you about RV batteries, the trickle-down effect of the problems that they can cause, and how we completely forgot to follow our own rule of checking first things first. Before we get started, a quick thanks to Progressive Insurance for sponsoring today's video. Progressive has some really cool options for RVers that we've recently learned about, including coverage for your roof, coverage for your pets if you were in an accident, which is total peace of mind for us with our pets, and so many other great options for RVers for RV insurance. So we invite you to get a free quote at the link below in the description of this video. Insurance is one of those things that you definitely want to shop on a yearly basis. Make sure that you're still getting the best rates because things can change. So if you haven't shopped insurance in a while, click the link below, get a quote from Progressive, and see if they can't get you a better deal than what you've already got going with your RV insurance.
So as we found out, your house batteries have so many functions, and there's so many things that rely on the house batteries.
Yeah, things like actually your fridge. If you don't have power from your batteries, your propane function on the fridge doesn't work. We didn't realize that until we started having these issues, and then we were actually getting an error message on our fridge saying that there was low power because, unbeknownst to us, or just something we didn't really think about at the time, was that when your fridge is running on propane, you still need the fans in the back to dissipate the heat. And so if your house batteries aren't functioning properly and you are not hooked up to auxiliary power, then you're not going to have any operation from your fridge, which is obviously problematic for many reasons.
Yeah.
Things like
lowering the leveling jacks. Like a lot of the jacks are electric. Some are hydraulic, but you still need electricity to be able to lower the jacks.
Or bringing your awning in and out. Like that's obviously something that you absolutely need to be able to do if you have a power awning like we do. So that's something that you rely on your house batteries for.
Not trying to be Captain Obvious here, but the lights.
Obviously, no battery power, the lights aren't going to be working very well, if at all.
Right.
Another thing that you need the batteries for is the water pump. So we, this year, did a ton of like lot docking or boondocking for the night. And so obviously you need to have water. You need to have water to be able to wash your hands after you use the bathroom, to flush the toilet. You have to have water. And if you don't have your batteries working, then you don't have the water pump to pump the water that you need. So much hinges on having the proper amount of power from the house batteries when you're out there living RV life.
And when on propane, you need to be able to light up the water heater flame.
No electricity, no spark to light any of those things up. So we're going to tell you what our big mistake was, but you have to promise to be nice to us in the comments below. Y'all, you were rookies at one time too. You've made your share of rookie mistakes too. So just remember, as you leave your comments below about this mistake that we made, just be nice, people. Just be nice. Most of you are.
Even people that have been on the road a long time have made those rookie mistakes.
Everybody has that mental lapse.
This was ours.
So
take it easy on us.
Anyway, we have just gotten back on the road at this point. We had our first really long drive day, and we have our inverter on because we are running lots of things.
Kids are charging their devices.
They have fans that they have on to help keep them cool.
Got the Wi-Fi going.
We've got just all of the typical things that we kind of are running as we're driving down the road. So we pull into our first stop for the night, which is a boondocking, lot docking thing at a Walmart in Georgia. And we'll put a link above for the video that we actually did there about how to find places to lot dock or overnight parking kind of thing. I run into Walmart to go get some groceries. I come back out to the RV with the groceries. One of the kids wants to go to cook something in the microwave, and there's no power going to the microwave. And as they try to turn on the microwave, all of the lights in the RV start like going dim. And that's when we realized
there's a problem.
Something's
not supposed to be doing that.
No. The next thing we do is obviously check the info center for what is the battery voltage. And it is low.
Like it's 11
No,
volts,
it was down to 9.
Or 11, was it 9?
It was like 9. It was like way low. Like, oh my gosh, this is not right.
Because our inverter shuts off at like 10 or 11. It basically just turns off the inverter just to save the batteries so you don't deplete them down to nothing.
Right, because that can like ruin your batteries. So we realized that we've got a problem. We're still kind of where it's not super, super late. We're parked in an area that we're way far away from everybody else. So we feel comfortable running the generator for just a little bit to be able to cook some food and get some power. And so
we use the generator too to charge the house batteries back up also.
Right. So we're doing that, just trying to get our power situation handled. And since this was like a one night thing, the next campground, we knew we were going to have power. We just got up the next morning, didn't really think too much of it other than as we're driving down the road, we're talking back and forth about these piece of crap batteries, obviously, that wouldn't hold a charge and they're not that old.
Because typically batteries will last around 5 years or so. And we were like 3 years in. We were like,
I
they
was
should
like
be good.
Doing the math in my head of when we had them installed, because we had them replaced right after we bought this. And we bought this secondhand. It's not new, it's used. So one of the first things that we did when we had it all gone through is we had all new batteries put in. So they weren't that old. So we're just really kind of like upset about these piece of crap batteries.
And we kind of shrugged it off for a little while too. We were like, okay, when we get back to Florida, we'll get the batteries replaced, but we'll just kind of
we're going back and forth. Should we go with lithium next time? Should we go with AMGs? Like, what should we do? Because this is the first thing. We thought that the shop that put them in had told us that they were maintenance-free batteries and that they didn't need any sort of maintenance. So that was kind of the impression that we were under.
You see where this is going, right?
So as we go on and we go on, further with our trip, most every place that we stay at least has electrical. So we stayed many places where we had maybe electric only, but we had electric. And so we were just, as we're going from place to place, we're not running the inverter. We're just kind of like pushing through on the travel days as far as not having power to charge things. Or if we do turn on the inverter, doing it very sparingly. This is one of those situations where, the pain of staying the same had not quite yet been more painful than the pain of change until we are getting ready to make a very long trek over 1,000-mile drive from the state of Michigan to where our home base is in the state of Florida. And so as we're kind of getting ready to do this and knowing like, we've got this really long stretch where we're going to be driving and lot docking, like we're not having any more campgrounds.
No campgrounds, and we were going to stay overnight at Cracker Barrel.
Right, and then a Walmart. And so just knowing like, okay, we're going to have a couple nights of no power.
Charity was on the phone, and we had an hour before we had to check out, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just check these batteries, just open up the basement compartment, take a look at them, see if there's anything I can do, loose connections. And so I opened it up and I looked at the batteries and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are not maintenance-free batteries.
Nope.
They actually had the little handle that you pop off and you can pull the top open. So I went back in the RV, put on my clear glasses just so I didn't get acid in my eyes. Took a flashlight, looked down in the cell of the battery. It was completely dry. There was no battery acid, no water, nothing in there. So I know. Rookie mistake.
We're like, we know this is really bad, right? Like we should have really checked this first. And now we just want to say one thing here, because hopefully like our mistakes will help you avoid some of the same mistakes.
Yeah.
We cannot tell you how many times in the last 4 years of RV living that we have paid a stupid tax, as we call it, for not checking those first things first.
It's always the simple things.
Fuses, tripped breakers, I mean, just little things that then obviously have a trickle down effect into bigger problems that we ended up calling a tech for, something like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, we really should have just checked those first things first, and we could have saved ourselves time and money.
So I didn't have any distilled water with me. I know that you're supposed to use distilled water, 100% distilled water, to fill them back up.
We did have purified water.
I'm getting there. Didn't have distilled water. We had purified spring drinking water that didn't have any minerals or anything in it. We had like 11 or 12 of them, and I actually took those outside, started filling it up, each one cell at a time. So we have a total of 6 batteries. 2 of them are for the engine to start the RV, for everything up front, and then we have 4 for the coach, which are the house batteries. And so I popped the top off of all 4 batteries, started pouring in water, and what you want to do is just fill them up to the very top of the cell. There's like fins in there. I know, pretty technical, but you fill it up to the very top of the cell, not to the top of the battery. I double checked with my dad. I gave him a quick, I phoned my dad.
Thank goodness for dads that are handy.
Yes.
If you're a dad out there, make sure that you're available to your kids.
We appreciate you guys.
Shout out to the dads.
So I checked with him. Yep, he said fill it up to the very top of the fin, to the cell. And so I poured one in on one cell, and it did not come up to the top. I poured another one in. It finally started filling up to the top. And so I kept dumping water in there, and then I ran out completely. I had 2 more batteries left. So I had to run into the store, into the KOA, and get another 6 or 7 bottles of water. And I had to let them know, hey, ran into a slight issue. My batteries are low on water. I need to fill them up. We might be checking out a little bit late. I took those water bottles, filled up the other battery, and it just sucked all 6 water bottles. I had to go back in, get 6 more. And then finally was able to top off those batteries.
The good news is we were completely set after that. No problems since. I mean, we're very, very fortunate, because that could have ruined our batteries. Like, that could have been one of those things that absolutely ruined them. Yeah. Just due to our mistake. But they seemed to be good. They were good the whole over 1,000-mile drive back. Yeah. We were able to lot dock, run the inverter all night. So we had our fans for our white noise at night. Everything was just... It
was beautiful.
So anyway, we just wanted to kind of let you guys know what happened, just as a reminder to always check first things first. But also, one thing that we absolutely have loved about the RV community is all of your suggestions that you always have.
Yes.
And so after this situation, we talked a ton about, should we upgrade the batteries to lithium? Should we do an AMG upgrade when these do need to be replaced? So you'll have to let us know in the comments below if you have upgraded your batteries. Did you go lithium?
AGM?
Did you go AGM? Like, what have you done with your battery banks for your RVs, and how has that turned out for you? Let us know in the comments below, because we love hearing what other people are doing and what's working.
Yeah, and any of you that have gone solar out there, trying to get her to go solar.
That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video.
Help me out, guys. Help me out.
So we do want to remind you that we do call our channel Grateful Glamper, because we do feel so grateful to be able to live this lifestyle. And we like to practice gratitude by thinking of one thing that we're thankful for each and every day. So we invite you to think of one thing that you're grateful for today. Maybe drop it in the comment below if you're super brave. We want to say a huge thank you to those of you that have jumped in and supported us on Patreon.
Yes.
Your support really means the world to us. We appreciate you so much. If you choose to become a Grateful Glamper Insider over on Patreon, you not only get access to an exclusive Facebook group, behind the scenes videos. We just had a really fun behind the scenes video that we put up on Patreon the other day. but it also just helps us to get to know you more and to be able to follow you and your journey as well.
Yeah.
So you can check out the Grateful Glamper Insiders on Patreon at the link below.
GratefulGlamper.com/Patreon.
If you'd like to see more videos with RV tips, tricks, and hacks, you can check those out right over here.
And if you'd like to see more travel videos like our Yellowstone glacier trip, check those out right down here.
And until next time,
We'll see you on the road.